taxi in Boston. I had my doctoral degree 4 years out, and I got a call from one of my Mass Archaeological Society board associates, George Horner, who said, would you be interested in a job? And I said, George, I just got back from parking my taxi in a parking garage to avoid the blizzard. Of course I'd be interested in a job. Because it turned out that my predecessor had peremptorily resigned in the middle of the semester and gone off to take a job in Washington. And so I filled in for him for the rest of that semester. And then that summer I did my first field school through Bridgewater, and we worked on the site across the river, which is also owned by a private landowner who allowed us to do that. The price of my doing that was that I had to give a talk about the site to the JCs. The things we don't know, and this is one of the difficulties of doing archaeology, we don't know that the whole site was occupied at any one time, but that people would keep coming back here and they would keep camping here, maybe in slightly different locations, so that the whole occupational history over 9,000 years kind of gets smeared together into a single distribution. Most likely it's the same tribe, but tribal affinities are very difficult to pin down before the Europeans came. And in fact, the Europeans, in some cases, in order to understand what they were dealing with, created fictional tribes. Fictional in the sense that the native people's names for themselves usually reference the places where they lived. And the English didn't really know how to deal with that. They wanted to deal with princes and kings. And so they invent King Philip, who was not a king. He was a tribal leader. He managed to gather together a lot of other tribal leaders under his banner, although to a large degree, even during King Philip's War, they operated independently of him. But before that, we think that tribal groups seemed to go along with particular river valleys. And so what would have been here in the upper Taunton would have been a group of people speaking a language which we call Massachusetts, which is an Algonquian language. But the locale to which Massachusetts refers, does anyone know?
All of New England?
No. It's up by Ponkapog. It's specifically the Blue Hills.
By the way,
yes.
You might
it's warm, huh?
It's composting under our feet.
It's warm, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it refers, Massachusetts means at the Great Hill. And so that refers to Great Blue Hill. So that's where Massachusetts is. But down here, we're a long way from Great Blue Hill here, but it is still considered to be traditional territory of the Massachusetts tribe. But is there such a tribe? Well, there is today. There's a group of people who affiliate with the Ponkapog in particular. Gil Solomon is their main person, who refer to themselves as Ponkapog or Massachusetts. They're not federally recognized, they're state recognized. Further to the south is a group of people whom we refer to as the Wampanoag. But Wampanoag appears to have been coinage of Philip, a.k.a. Metacomit or Pometacom himself, and it simply means people of the first light or people of the east. And Wampanoag is the same word in the Massachusetts dialect as Abenaki is in the Abenaki dialect. Wabanak, Wampanoag, Abenak, all these are the same word meaning people of the light, because Wab means light, as Wamp means light, as in wampum, which refers to white clamshell or a quahog shell. So all of these words are related. So the name that King Philip's group called themselves prior to this coinage was Pokanoket, which refers to a location in Rhode Island. So what the tribal associations were is very, very hard to tell. These people, for the most part, were not living at any one place year-round. They were traveling between winter and summer residences and camping at minor locations along the way, both ways. And so this would have been a major seasonal camp, possibly for all of the warm months of the year, but probably not a winter month camp. The winter camps are generally further upstream and smaller and more dispersed. Piles of earth are now, which was at the time we were digging here, still forest. And we've dug all the way out to there, all the way down practically to the river that way. And the site continues. The site doesn't give out until you get right to the edge of the bank of the river. And so it's right there, and it's occupying all of that land. But if you were to come here if you had yourself a TARDIS, and you could come here at some other time of the year, of the occupation when it was being occupied, you probably would not have seen a group of people occupying the whole area, but rather a village of maybe up to 100 people occupying a piece of it. And then the next year they might come back and camp somewhere slightly different within this perimeter. There are basically 4 stages to the archaeological process. The first stage is called reconnaissance, is basically, is there anything here? It's a very light, quick survey that's done to see if there's anything on the inventory, to see if by just walking over the property you might see things coming up out of the ground in erosion cuts and so forth, or you might dig a few informal test pits to see if you get anything. If you don't, then the project may proceed. If you do find something, then you might want to go to the second stage, which is called intensive survey. And the purpose of that is to determine what is the geographical extent of the cultural resource. How far does it extend horizontally and vertically? And also, more or less, what time period might be involved. That it says, then they go to the next stage, which is called the site examination. And there you would excavate larger units. You would try to find more information about the integrity of the site, that it hasn't been disturbed, like our Plymouth Street site would definitely fail on that one. Or, what is its significance according to a series of well-defined criteria that the federal government has.